Lunch starts now on rock100diz.com.
Roses are red, violets are blue. We're at the end of the NFL season, and ooh. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that the Super Bowl is Sunday. It's all over. It's all over, Paulie.
Yes, it will be all over. On Sunday night at about 11 o'clock.
You say by 11 o'clock we'll know who's got the best commercial, the best everything, right?
Well, probably about like 10:45 at least.
Oh, 10:45. Okay. Well, anyhow, it's time for the Sports Crunch. Yours truly, the captain, along with my buddy Paul Hollywood, and we got the live in studio camera going. But you really won't be able to see it so much live and in studio. You'll see it up on YouTube within the hour. And matter of fact, Paulie went out and he's supposed to get me a Steelers jersey because I am going for the Steelers. See, I'm a betting man. Actually, I've got my chips. See, right? You know, I'm getting all my chips together. See? 2000.
The thing is, are you betting? Actually, since you're going with the Steelers, it's going to work out for you because you're getting points, either 2.5 to 3 points, depending on what casino or offside betting parlor you attend.
Yeah, you see, I got my chips.
And your money line, if you don't, if you're really daring and you see, I don't need no stinking points, you lay down 100 to get back 120.
Okay.
We'll go through those bets later because I pulled them off today, and it's got some interesting ones.
So you're going to show me how to parlay?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll take...
No, there's no parlay in this. There's two teams.
Okay, so I'm going to take this stack, and I'll put 100. That's on the 100 gets me 120 over here.
Yes.
Okay, and then the rest of this will be, for all the little miscellaneous stuff that's going on. Like betting on the sides and all that good stuff. We'll talk about all of that coming up here on the Sports Crunch on rock100diz.com. Big happenings out of Tampa. We discussed this offline for quite a bit today, and I decided that this would be the lead story for today on the Sports Crunch, and it has to deal with Tim Marcum, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Storm. He has been in some problems with his former boss, or should I say he's still employed with the Tampa Bay Storm?
I think different owners now. I only can think is that they changed ownership, and I guess he had a dispute with him or something. They went to court, and I guess this really was a nasty court thing. So the guy who used to be the owner was pulling out things like, while he was employed for me, he was there doing racist things and downloading porn and like bestiality things, whatever like that, trying, I guess, nullify, I guess, the money he owes the coach from his former employer.
Well, what got me was not only the racial statements about the NFL, well, not really the NFL, excuse me, racial statements about
black players.
About black players, but some of the negativity that he said towards the president and the first lady of the United States of America. Now, people are entitled to their own opinion. I'm a First Amendment believer of that because I have sat right here and in front of lots of friends said how I felt about George W. Bush, that this guy should be brought up on war crimes. And there's other people out there that like to throw certain adjectives and adverbs in front of black America. You know what I'm talking about. That's your own prerogative.
Well, the thing is I've had time to think about this now. I used to work for the U.S. Postal Service. And if I did any nonsense like that on the postal computers, because I had to have a password. Everybody has a password to get on, their sites, whatever like that. They would trace that back to me, and I would have been fired. I mean, if I would have done anything like what this guy's doing with porn and anything like that, that would have said, hey, you're out of here, because, there's a, thing you're not allowed to do it,
And I guess that's the point I'm getting at, is the fact that he made all of these statements and did it on company time, on the company dime. And this guy isn't fired? It amazes me. Now, we got on the phone earlier today, and I was hoping to get Barry Wagner, former AFL superstar, on the horn.
He's an AFL Hall of Fame.
Hall of Famer. But Barry had some other things going on. Kind of busy today. But anyhow, Barry Wagner, who also played a couple of downs over there in Tampa, said he heard some of the players talking about an incident where a black player dropped a football during a game on a touchdown pass, dropped it, and Mr. Marcum called him, quote unquote, a coon for dropping the ball.
Well, I hope he never said that, but if he did, that's really kind of really racist.
I mean, that's why I said alleged.
And I'm surprised that he's, lasted this long without this coming out.
But what I don't understand is sports. There's so many black players. There's so many white coaches.
Well, I mean, especially when you look at it, like in the NFL, it's like 75% black players. So, I mean, I don't see how you could, be like that when you're dealing with, 75% of your league is African American players.
I don't get it. So that I guess that's my whole point. We just don't get it. And I don't think it should be tolerated in anybody's league, period.
I think, like I say, this is really coming out to, like, when you go to court nowadays, you really make sure you have your ducks in order, because they are going to, they're going to dig deep and go after anything. And if anybody knows that they have anything they can nail you with, just like politics now, they're going to use it against you.
You're right. So, Tim Marcum, see ya. I don't want to be ya. Anyhow, if you want to get involved with us here on the Sports Crunch, shoot us an email at request@rock100diz.com. Paulie, now it's time to talk Super Bowl.
Okay, well, the teams have ride today, and the thing is, they
flew in today?
Yeah, they're both there. In fact,
okay.
The Steelers already had their press conference. I think as we're on right now, probably Green Bay's on doing theirs. But the thing is funny that Roger Goodell even chimed in, because now that they're down there, the thing about Ben Roethlisberger's troubles, at the beginning of the year when he was suspended for 4 games is coming about, and I guess Goodell, when he did his investigation, couldn't find any Steelers. This is like back in the spring now, that had Ben's back. They all were like really mad at him and everything for how he had carried on, off the field. Yeah. But I think probably all things at the end, I think probably the suspension was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, because I think he's come back with a completely changed attitude. The players now really like him a lot better. I mean, there was a point previously, he was such an a-hole that he wouldn't even, like, if a player asked, hey, can you sign a jersey for my kid or whatever, he wouldn't do it. I mean, he was just really aloof to all the players, and that's why he really wasn't liked. And when all those bad things happened to him, nobody had his back.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But, I mean, the bottom line is he's still a winner, and I think, when you're winning, I think winning cures all ills, and I think probably that the fact that they're back in the Super Bowl is why everybody's doing a 360 on what they're saying about him now. Now,
that's very interesting. I didn't know that. Now, as we're talking about the Super Bowl, we're also going to get Charlie Bernstein. He's with ESPN, a writer. Also, he's going to be working with us over on our new sister station, 99talkradio.com, which is also going to talk about sports and politics and every other thing known to man. That station should be ready to launch. We're hoping sometime in February.
And Charlie also last week was up at the Senior Bowl, and he saw a lot of young players already come in the NFL, and he had some pretty funny valuations of them. I was reading them last night while I was visiting with him at the Magic game.
So we'll continue to talk about football in this segment. Now, as I'm thumbing through my notes that Paul Hollywood was so gracious to share with me today, I want you to see. Can you see this? You see this article? Can I get up a little closer? See with the little baby?
It has little babies born in Pittsburgh this week.
Babies born in Pittsburgh will be wrapped in terrible towels. I love that. In Pittsburgh, terrible towels are a birthright. A hospital in Pittsburgh is wrapping newborn babies this week in the yellow terrible towels favored by the Steelers fans. It's in support of the team's run to Super Bowl 45. They're born Steelers fans here in Pittsburgh. Sharon Johnson said, clinical supervisor of birth at the St. Clair Hospital. Some of the parents, actually all of the parents, love this idea.
I think if they had baby girls, though, they should probably put them in the pink ones, because they have the one for the breast cancer awareness.
So you think there should be a pink terrible towel, Paulie?
Well, probably not, because there is only one, to my knowledge, there's only one terrible towel, and that is the yellow one.
Well, I mean, for breast cancer, that sounds like something.
Well, since that's done in October, I guess if the babies were born in October, they could be pink one there. But since we're in a Super Bowl now, we're going back to the team color. But one thing about those towels that people don't realize, no matter where you buy them, it's the same price. Like when I was up in Pittsburgh, I've been up there a couple times for Jaguar games. I figure, let me go to Walmart. I can probably get a deal on them. But you really don't. It's the same price at Walmart or or if you bought it at the stadium in a concession stand. It's all the money's going to charity. It's nonprofit, so it's a good cause. Those terrible towels.
How much? I'm
They were
curious.
$6 when I bought them. So
That's it. Just $6 for a towel.
And it went totally. Profit went to the. I forget what fund it was. It was something to do with the guy that used to be the announcer for the radio that passed away.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
But I mean, all that money went to charity. So like, it isn't like anybody's bootlegging them or anything and making extra bucks. It's all the real deal.
Okay. So
I always like the ones at stadium better. Over the one I actually bought some at Walmart, some at the stadium. The ones at the stadium actually were nicer. They had like the Super Bowl logos on them and stuff like that. So they were you get a better one when you buy them at the stadium or probably at the Pittsburgh team shop or the Pittsburgh team shop online.
Nice.
I'm not giving them a plug, but that's probably the
Paul,
case.
you'll plug anything. All you have to do, you want to hear Paul Hollywood plug himself away, listen to us in the morning with Castano and Company across the hall on oldschool101.com. Joe Laffey says that his girlfriend, Samantha Grimm, was not allowed the baby to be born during the Steelers AFC title game. This girl was pregnant with his baby, and he told her, you cannot give birth to this child during the AFC title game. So
she stood there with those pains, extra 3 hours.
An extra 3 hours. And so the baby was born in a terrible towel hours after the game.
Okay, well, it's happy for them.
You know what? She's a trooper. I like that. Got to give it up.
Took one for the team, literally.
Took one for the team because, there's now this is something that people don't seem to understand. And I know, we're talking about Pittsburgh right now. And if my neighbor was here, he'd be screaming about the Packers because he's got his big G all over his truck outside.
Well, actually, I gave you a breakdown on one of those other stories I have there for you about the comparisons between the two cities, and they are a lot alike in a lot of ways in the comparisons.
There's comparisons between Pittsburgh and Green Bay.
Well, at the bottom, all those pictures that they have, both of them are storied franchises. Now, Pittsburgh has won 6 Super Bowls. Green Bay has won 3. Now, 2 of them were back in the 60s, and if they would have had Super Bowls, like say from the late 50s, early 60s, they'd have. Nobody would beat them as far as Super Bowls because they dominated late 50s, early 60s. They were knocking them one after another. Actually, at the end of their dynasty back then is when the Super Bowl just started.
That's true, but hold on now. Didn't the Cleveland Browns win like 5, 6?
They won 1960.
They won in the 60s.
They won 64 was the last time they won.
Okay,
the Cleveland Browns.
We're going to talk about that in the next segment. I want to compare if we go all the way back. To 1933 when the league.
I'm not going back to that because that's a whole different thing.
You should go all the way back to that.
For me, the first 3 Super Bowls. I mean, they were.
So that was you just want to count Super Bowls.
That was AFL, NFL before they had the merger in 1970. Now, after the one with the Jets beating Baltimore, then it just became one NFL, and that was actually the first Super Bowl was the one that that was a unified league is when Kansas City beat Minnesota in 1970.
So you're telling me the first 3 Super Bowls technically were not really?
No, they were real Super Bowls, but you had an NFL and AFL, and at that time the NFL was the old superior league. So really, to get the AFL to force get the merger between the two was really the Jets needed to beat the Colts. And I don't know if you ever seen back in the day, Bubba Smith actually accused of the game being fixed to force the issue. He was adamant about it. He used to be on like Tom Snyder, and he was on I think David Letterman. Back in the day when he was on late night on NBC. I mean, he's to this day. I think I think he's still alive. But if he goes to the grave, he'll still believe that the game was fixed against the Colts in that one, so the Jets would win, and they would have forced that merger between the two leagues.
Wasn't that game an ugly game? Like there was 4 or 5 turnovers. It wasn't a normal.
The big thing about that game was the big thing that Joe Namath was flashy, and he was always with women on each one of his arms, and he'd be laying down by the pool, and he was laying down by the pool down there in Miami, saying that I guarantee the Jets will win the Super Bowl. So I think that they were underdogs by 13, 14 points. So the fact that he comes out and guarantees a win, I mean, New York at a media center, they just ran with that and went crazy. That's why main reason he's in the Hall of Fame, just because he made that statement.
Old Broadway Joe.
Well, he made that statement and won the game. All right, if he wouldn't have won the game, it wouldn't have meant nothing. He backed up what he said, so that's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
You got to love it when a guy puts up and doesn't have to shut up.
Yeah, we want to remember that Broadway Joe, not the one that was like drunk and like 5 years ago slobbering over Susie Colbert.
I still don't.
That was embarrassing.
I still don't understand why he was slobbering over Susie Colbert, but that's a
well,
whole.
Well, he's 70 and she's 30, so that's a good ratio for him.
On that note, we'll be back with more of the Sports Crunch right after this. Talk to Charlie Bernstein from ESPN right here on Rock100DIZ.com.